Ooh, welcome into a spooky edition of Daily Faceoff Live. Happy Halloween. It's October 31st. It's Friday. Everybody's in a good mood. We are live on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. Looking for your inbox questions. Drop them in with the hashtag AskDFO. As always, we are a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. 65 and an exciting show because today we'll be joined by not just our usual ex-NHLer Carter Hutton, but Patrick Sharp will join us as well. I'm excited to talk to Patrick Sharp.
Yeah, obviously exciting. And that intro was great. It got me with the boo. I really enjoyed that, Ty. But obviously it's great getting Patrick Sharp on. His, three-time Stanley Cup winner, Olympic champion. He's now working for the Flyers. It's obviously great to get a guy like that on. And again, there's always topics in the NHL to talk about. And it's great right now because the Flyers had another big win last night.
Yeah, looking forward to that conversation coming up in about 10-15 minutes time. I see we already have some Flyers fans in the YouTube chat as well. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in and maybe we'll throw it Patrick's way. But let's kick things off, Huts, with the big news from yesterday. We had David Pagnotta on the show yesterday and we asked him point blank, what would be the number that Martin Necas would agree to and sign with Colorado right now? And he kind of said it's in that $11.5 million range. Well, the Avs got the deal done, an 8-year extension for Martin Necas with an $11.5 million AAV. Listen, he's a point per game since joining the Avs, 41 points in 41 games. The fit has been pretty good, and he came in with high expectations because he was obviously the centerpiece of that stunning Mikko Rantanen trade from last January. What's your initial impression of this 8-year, $11.5 million extension?
I guess I do like it a lot. Like, I think at this point, he's not getting any cheaper, right? With the weak free agency market, which we're going to get to, his number is only going to go up. Yes, I think people can look back and there's, hindsight's going to be 2020 on this. Like, well, then why didn't we sign Rantanen, right? That is always going to be the conversation about, because Rantanen gets 12. Why couldn't we just give that money to Rantanen, who was loved there and who, won a Stanley Cup? But that being said, I do think Marty Necas is a good fit there. He's got 30 points. In 30 games, he has 28 points so far this year. The Avs are off to a great start, 6-1-4. But then the thing for me is the fact that, where he's at his game, right? He's an elite guy. He has great puck skills. And in the offensive zone off the cycle, he creates so much. And one thing playing against Colorado and watching them play, post-career is how much they generate in zone off the cycle. Like Makar and McKinnon are all over the map. He fits in that system well. And again, I think for a guy like that, a younger guy who wants to win, why wouldn't you stay here? This is a great number. I think this makes this team dangerous for a lot of years to come, Ty.
Yeah, he absolutely could have gotten more on the open market. I think some will call them a bad or rebuilding team probably would have looked at Martin Necas and been like, yeah, we'll throw you 12 and a half because we just have to sign you. Don't have to give up, any assets to acquire you on July 1. But with that being said, this still feels just a touch high. Again, the 8-year term will soften it as it goes on, and he's only 26 years old, so this extension will kick in when he's 27. You'll have him when he's 27 to 35. It's not like this is something that's going to linger into his late 30s, and you'll be kind of wincing the last couple of years, being like, oh, God, what did we do here? So, it's fine. I'm not going to give Chris McFarland and the Avs, an A grade for it, because at the end of the day, he's not going to be their best player, second best player. He might not even be their third best player when all is said and done. So it feels a touch high. I will say, though, the one narrative that people seem to be really jumping down the Avalanche's throat when it comes to this is, oh, well, you could have had Rantanen for $500,000 more. And it's like, no, that wasn't the case. You have to go back in time. I mean, the Avs were offering him whatever it was, $11 to $12 million, somewhere in that range is what all the reports would suggest. But Mikko Rantanen wanted more. He wanted 13 plus. He wanted $14 million. The only reason he agreed to sign for 12 in Dallas is because, actually, I shouldn't say only reason. There are two reasons why he signed for 12 in Dallas. One, tax-free state. That $12 million that he's getting in Dallas, Texas is 13 or 14, $14.5 million in Colorado. And the other thing is, he asked the Avs for more. They said no. He asked the Canes for more. They said no. Then when you get to the third team and you go, I want 14, and a third team says, we're not giving you 14, you kind of sit there and go, you know what, maybe I should just take the 12 here. And Rantanen's value was also a little low when he actually did sign that extension at the deadline. So I don't think it's fair for people to be criticizing the Avs. Even though I still don't love this number for Necas, it's not fair to criticize them and go, well, they could have had Rantanen for another $500K.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think that time in Carolina didn't fit well either, too, right? Like he wasn't performing well there. It was a trade. And again, there was a lot going on in his defense. And when I try to humanize the deal, he played in the Four Nations in Carolina. That's a lot of moving going on, changing landscapes. But this being said, this Colorado team, like you become dangerous for the future, right? And again, I still think we're in this phase of a little bit of like wow factor to these sticker prices on these contracts, right? It is a changing landscape. The cap's going up and where they're at. What I do like about Necas, though, how he fits in here is he does carry the puck very well out of his zone end to end, statistically speaking. That makes them so dangerous. And I think that also relieves a little bit of pressure off McKinnon to always be the dog carrying the puck up the ice. So again, I think time's going to tell, right? I think that's going to be the best factor of this contract is if Colorado gets back to winning another Stanley Cup with these stars, it doesn't matter what his price tag is. They got what they needed out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, something we've talked about as these extensions for, Harley came down and Logan Cooley as well, is they now have some cost certainty. And as the cap continues to skyrocket, I see the comment we have here in the YouTube that, hey, 11.5 now is yesterday's 7.5. And I agree, like it'll get there eventually, but in the moment, 11.5 is still 11.5. But you can go look now. Nathan McKinnon's got 5 more years on his deal. Nelson's got 2 more, 3 more years for Landeskog. And now you got the 8-year extension for Necas. The only guy who they're going to have a serious conversation about in the next 18 months is Cale Makar. And like, holy shit, that's going to be expensive. Like that's going to blow the McKinnon deal out of the water. But they have some cost certainty with that group now, which is obviously a big advantage for a front office. As we move off the Avs topic, Martin Necas, another big UFA off the board. And Huts, you and I got to do a free agency show on July 1. And I know that's a very long ways away, but I'm already having the scaries about it to keep it on the Halloween theme because we might be spending a lot of time talking about Alex Tuch and Patrick Laine. Like you take a look at the top UFAs on the board here. Panarin, that's maybe the one guy who could headline this class, but Kempe, fully expect him to re-sign in LA at some point this season. Nick Schmaltz, we just talked about Utah the other day. They have a ton of money. If they want to bring back Nick Schmaltz, they'll bring back Nick Schmaltz. Like this UFA class is weak.
It is. And again, it just keeps getting weaker. So what I find is going to be interesting is what guy holds out the longest and goes to free agency where now all of a sudden that value that you were getting, yes, you lose maybe that year deal, which I think teams are using for leverage right now to sign these guys with that extra 8th year. But that being said, if you're Panarin or if you're Kempe or if you're someone that can make it all the way to free agency, I think it makes a difference on the money that's going to be available with the cap going up. And some of these teams that are going to be sitting there trying to spend a little more because they have it. And, and if you're in a market where there's 3 teams competing for one superstar, maybe that's the piece that puts you over the top for some of these teams that are borderline making the playoffs. And now all of a sudden, maybe your number's 10, but if you can wait to free agency, maybe it becomes 12. I think the landscape is changing so much, and it's a real good time to have a good year and be a free agent, Ty.
I like that you mentioned that 8th year as well, because what a big factor that is in all of this. If you were Adrian Kempe negotiating with the LA Kings, and let's say they're offering you $10 million a year, so that's $80 million. And as you can tell, I'm using my calculator here down in the bottom right corner. $80 million, if you want to try get that as the total lump sum of money when you hit the open market next July, some team's going to have to offer you basically 11.5. Like that difference in total dollars that the 8th year can make is significant. And again, I like that you brought that up. I think that's why a lot of guys are going to be just opting to stay where they are, because not only can you get the higher total dollars, but also Huts. I mean, you would know this. No one likes moving their shit. When you're set up in one spot, you can stay in, like that's worth something as well.
Yeah, well, a little different for me, buddy. I just like having a job. Some of these guys have a little more pull than me, and I always joke around. Like people are like, as I move back home, they're like, "Why did you move home?" I'm like, "Well, I never planted roots anywhere. I wasn't good enough. I was the independent contractor. I had to go where the work is." But if you have the leverage, you have a good free agency, and if the time is right, that's what it's all about, right? It's opportunity and timing for free agency, and this year, I think it's going to pay dividends for a lot of guys.
All right, let's wrap things up before we get to our big guest with a little Halloween-themed segment, Huts. It is trick or treat. You're going to give me one trick from the first month of the season, something that's not sustainable, something you don't like, whatever it is, and then we'll wrap it up with a treat as well. But I will let you go first before I get. And who's your Halloween trick?
My trick, I hate to do it, but I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I just think, they're off to a good start, but these are the old boys getting it done. Malkin leading the team with 17 points. Carlson leading with 22 minutes a game. Letang's playing over 21. Crosby's going to be good, but we know that. I just don't think this is sustainable for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think they're off to a great start. You look at that line with Malkin and Brazo and Mantha, guys that aren't really known to perform like that. I think they're feeding off of Malkin and how rejuvenated and good he looks. I just can't see this being consistent throughout the year, Ty.
And the goaltending's got to hold too. Like I like Arthur Seelovs, but you look at Tristan Jarry's start, you compare it to what we've seen from him the last, call it year and a half, and it's kind of like, okay, it's good to be coming out of the gates hot. Can you sustain that for, the dog days in December and January? I don't know. But for Penguins fans, they wake up today with 18 points, the number one team in the NHL. I went a bit of a different direction with my trick, Huts. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but the Islanders healthy scratched Matt Barzal for being late to a team meeting. And as a corresponding move, they decided to call up Cal Ritchie from the American League, their number one prospect. They got him in the Brock Nelson deal. But how about this for a tough Halloween trick? His flight got canceled because of a storm. So he's all fired up coming up from the American League. He's waiting at the airport. He's ready to go. And your flight gets canceled on game day. That is a brutal Halloween trick for Cal Ritchie.
Yeah, that's a tough go. I always think of that. It reminds me of a story when I was playing in the American Hockey League for the Worcester Sharks, and Matt Irwin got called up for his first NHL call-up. So he took the flight across the country from Massachusetts to San Jose, landed in San Jose, turned his phone on and said, hey, it was just a paper transaction. Go back to the till, grab your ticket, and head on back out. So talk about your first NHL call-up going much worse than that.
Yeah, that is brutal. Your Halloween treat, Huts.
For me, I love the treat. Maybe I'm a little biased here because we have a Philadelphia Flyers guest coming on, but I think Dan Vladar, he's my treat so far this year. I think as a guy with as many games that he's played at 28 years old, he's played 6 games. He's been very good for the Philadelphia Flyers. And again, it's not just Vladar. I think it's the confidence of having Earson and him, how you can platoon these two guys together. And I think about at 28 years old, and now you're over 100 games in the NHL. He's played very well. There's kind of a coming out party for goalies. As you start to mix in, you still are physically capable to grow and get better, but now you have experience to pair that with. And I think in a tough market like this, he is a great goalie to be there with his experience to kind of block out the noise and help Earson. So I think this is a good dynamic for the Flyers moving forward.
Ask a Calgary Flames fan how much they're missing Dan Vladar this year as Dustin Wolf goes through his sophomore slump. Wouldn't you have loved to have a veteran who you can just kind of point to for a couple of games and be like, you know what, take the pressure off the kid for a little bit?
Yeah, 100%, right? There's so much value in that. And it's a big difference being the guy, right? Like, because I've played in both roles as the backup where you're with a star and you have that security blanket. And then all of a sudden, when you aren't the guy and there's nobody there to protect you, it makes for a different dynamic. So I think this is a great dynamic for their goaltending, where you have both guys to play off each other, where right now in Calgary, Devin Cooley's been very good. But the fact is, Dustin Wolf got the contract. He's going to play a lot of minutes, and I just don't know if it's sustainable.
All right, my treat is going to be Kiefer Sherwood of the Vancouver Canucks. He netted a hat trick the other day. He is on an absolute run right now to start the season for Vancouver. 9 goals in 12 games, and listen, he's shooting 37%. This stat line is absolutely a trick, but what's a treat is the fact that this guy has set himself up beautifully in a contract year. And Pat, I don't know if we can show the board here. Yeah, look at this stat line from earlier in his career. Back in 2018, that's 7 seasons ago, he played his first NHL season with the Anaheim Ducks, had 12 points in 50 games. It was whatever. And then he bounces around for the next 3-4 years. NHL, AHL, up, down like a yo-yo. And then last year, boom, it clicks. He sets the record for most hits in a season. He's almost a 20-goal guy with the Canucks. And now we're sitting here, Huts, he's going to get himself. And I'm sure a couple of years ago, if you would have asked Kiefer Sherwood while he was playing in the American League, like, hey, how would you feel if at the end of the day your career earnings were $5 million? He probably would have taken that deal. He might get $5 million a year on July 1.
Yeah, and the value that he brings, just not even scoring goals, right? Like, this is a player you want on your team, and it doesn't even matter if the puck's on his stick because he's finishing checks, he's pushing the forecheck, he's antagonizing the play. And it's funny how your perspective changed. I've told that story before. Me and Alex Stalock in Worcester said that we would take 10 years, $100,000 a year, no problem. And then you look back on how your career progresses, right? It's wild. The league needs fillers, and thank God for guys like Kiefer Sherwood. He's fitting in real well.
Yeah, I teased our free agency show way too early in the show. How about our trade deadline show? I got a prediction. Kiefer Sherwood will be a big, big part of it. He could be very sought after as a pending UFA. Well, let's get to our big segment here, Huts. It's brought to you by Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, or after the game. Whether you're throwing a hockey party or maybe a little World Series watch party tonight, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's experience all season long. A pleasure to be joined on the show by a veteran of over 900 NHL games, a three-time Stanley Cup champion and Olympic gold medalist, and I will stop short at calling him the pride of Thunder Bay because it might upset Carter Hutton. Patrick Sharp, welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you. Good to be with you guys. Hut's doing a great job representing T-Bay. I love it.
Well, we're working on it, Patty, so it's obviously appreciate you joining us here.
Yeah, no problem. I heard you talking about Flyers in your trick segment. You got Dan Vladar tires pumped. Thank you for that. Well deserved on Vladdy's part.
Yeah, it's been good so far. So honestly, how has the transition been for you from, you retire, right? And then you get into media and now you're with the Flyers. How does that transition happen? And where are you at now? Like, what are you doing exactly day to day with the Flyers?
Yeah, good question. I retired maybe 7-8 years ago now. It's creeping up there. It's been a while, and I've been able to take advantage of a lot of great opportunities that came my way. Started with the television side of things, met some friends, met some great connections there. Did some work with the Blackhawks where I spent the bulk of my playing career. And then these past 3 seasons, I've been working more in like a player development role with the Philadelphia Flyers organization. And it's funny how things work out. I've known Danny Briere for a long time, obviously competed against him in the NHL for a bunch of years. And the team president of the Flyers, Keith Jones, was the guy that basically taught me everything I needed to know as best he could about the broadcasting side of things. And so I got to sit with Keith Jones for a couple of years, learn that side of it. And now I'm working for him and Danny in a player development role. And basically what it means is I'm learning how to be a coach. I'm trying to be a mentor to our young prospects. I get to work with our Phantoms players. Both coaching staffs with the Flyers and Phantoms have been terrific in allowing people like myself to hang around, absorb as much as we can, contribute when we can. And it just feels great in the role that I'm in. I love being on the ice with the younger kids. I love tracking their progress during the season. I'll fly out, drive wherever to go catch them play, make sure everything's okay. And I'm a part of a great staff. Riley Armstrong is the player development director. And we got a bunch of former players on the staff. John LeClaire, another Vermont guy like myself, is working alongside me. Chris Stewart, Sam Moran. We got Mark Recchi joined us this year in spurts. So it's been a lot of fun going to work every day.
Now that you've kind of been doing it for a few seasons, do you have the coaching itch a little bit? Like, could you see yourself like going behind a bench one day, or do you just like where you're at?
I got a lot of respect for coaches. I'll say that. There's a lot going on. I've kind of, I would say, focused mostly on the forwards role in a game, mostly the power play. But to be one of these coaches in pro hockey these days, every detail is covered. A lot of video, a lot of teaching, a lot of preparation. And we got 2 great staffs, 3 when you count our Reading Royals staff as well, who's off to a great start in the East Coast League. So to answer your question, I don't know. Maybe one day. I just enjoy learning the process now and helping the Flyers however I can.
Patty, obviously it's a transition, right? I feel like I'm doing youth hockey, you're doing pro hockey, but you look at the Flyers, right? And there's some young guys like Zegras and Mishkov that have come over. Where can you help them off the rink? Like, obviously your accolades, right? You've been part of, so many championships, and the Flyers are, in a market that demands someone to win. Is this like an important factor to try to get this, to these younger guys quicker?
Yeah, sure. I'm another voice for the coaching staff. Every coach on our development staff is as well. You mentioned some names of some younger players that we have. Zegras kind of leading the charge off a huge game last night. 3-point effort for him. And I think that's kind of an underrated move that Danny and his staff made this offseason, was bringing in Trevor Zegras into Philly, giving him a real good opportunity to become the player that a lot of people thought he could be when we watched him torch Canada there with the World Junior team for Team USA. and he's off to a pretty good start to his career with the Flyers. He's been great, terrific in a lot of different areas. Where I can help is just kind of manage the season, come in when need be. We've got some younger players that are learning the grind of the 82 games, the travel, the practices. However I can lend a hand, I'm happy to do that. But where I really enjoy working is with our prospects, with Riley on the development staff, with the Phantoms, so that when our guys get to that NHL level, they're prepared for what's coming and there's no surprises.
So, Patty, I got to circle back to the Olympics, right? Like, obviously, we had chatted about this, I think, last year when you were in town, just how good that team was and you're there, and it's an Olympic year. Like, what does that mean as a player? I never got a chance to play in the Olympics. I loved it because I got to go on a cruise or go to a beach or hang out. But, like a superstar like yourself, you go to the Olympics. What is it like getting ready to play in an Olympics on top of the NHL schedule, right? Because it's something we talk about a lot with, like, the compressed schedule with the Olympics coming up this year.
Yeah, it was a lot. I remember, I guess it's a long time now. It was 2014. It was the last time that NHL players were able to go over and play. And Hutz, you were with us in Chicago, I believe, in 2013, right, for the second Cup. So you were well aware of what was going on in Chicago and how every game seemed like it was a national broadcast. And we had guys going to all-star games. We had deep playoff runs every year, and it was really just perfect timing for myself to kind of get in the mix. If you would have said that, I would have been able to make that team at the start of my pro career, I don't think too many people would have taken that bet. But it's funny how things work out, and I was very thankful to be in a good spot in Chicago, and that helped me prepare and have a good start and a good season. I think you look across the league today, with it being an Olympic year again, and the league's fast right out of the gate here, right in October. It used to be the month where teams were getting rid of preseason habits and summer skates, a lot of odd man rushes and chances against for the goaltenders. And as the season goes along, things tighten up. Right now, maybe it's because the Olympic year, maybe it's because there's a huge injection of youth across the league. I'm not sure, but the league seems fast and dialed right now. So it feels like a lot of players maybe have Italy in sights. And as far as being in that tournament, it was just like, it was like going to an all-star game, basically, but you get to hang out and be teammates in the dorms and have that 2-3 week experience with each other. Everywhere I looked, there was a captain for their NHL team. There was, quality people and superstars of the game in that room. So I tried to learn as much as I can, contribute when I could, and very thankful to be on that team, win a gold medal.
I know in basketball they have the dream team, but that 2014 Canada Olympic team was kind of dubbed the perfect team. You guys gave up 5 goals in the entire tournament. It was insane. Carey Price's numbers are like video game stuff, but there was a moment in the quarterfinals where it almost all came crashing down against Latvia, and Hutz and I were watching your goal in that game to go up 1-0, but people like, in the quarterfinals against Latvia, it was 1-1 with like 7 minutes to go. When you guys are in the locker room in the second intermission, I know it's 10 plus years ago here, I'm asking you to go back down memory lane, but like you have this loaded team, Weber, Doughty, all these superstars, and it's like, oh my God, it's 1-1 against Latvia. What was the vibe like in the room? Like, were you sitting there being like, there's no way this ends? Was there a confidence? What was it like?
I'm trying to think back. I'm pretty sure Latvia scored first in that game. They had like a pretty cool play they did off a neutral zone faceoff. Puck was on the defensive side of the neutral zone. They snapped a drawback, and then the defenseman closest to the bench like changed in the bench door, and then way down at the other end of the bench, a forward popped out and went for a breakaway. They went D to D and hit him for a breakaway. Other than that, the play I think was in Latvia's end. 75% of the game, it was like they were playing well. They were defending their butts off. I think the score was 1-0 for a long time, but I don't remember ever doubting confidence in the group. The effort was there. That team was stacked as far as structure and defensive play. We weren't winning games 7-0 or 7-2. They were all pretty tight games, but we sure didn't give up much. And when we did, it was Price in the net that was making huge saves. So the confidence never really wavered. Our team was playing good hockey. We just couldn't score. And I think I look back on that tournament, it was the Webers and Doughties that were scoring a lot of goals from the defense position. There was nobody really carrying the load offensively. It was just a well-structured team, and it was like impressive to watch, really.
Last one for me, Pat, before we let you go here. We obviously appreciate you coming on. The state of the Hawks. This is a market that's been through some struggles since your run there, the dynasty you guys had. What's your thoughts about Connor Bedard and the state of the Blackhawks? Obviously, I'm sure it's near and dear to you, even though you're working for the Flyers.
Yeah, I watch the games. I watch a lot of hockey, not just the Flyers and Phantoms and our prospects, but try to keep up as best I can. And the games this year seem way more exciting. I think you're getting a chance to see some younger players there that the team has penciled in being long-term Blackhawks. So that's exciting to see them at the beginning part of their careers. As far as Bedard, I met Bedard once and seemed like a really cool kid. Obviously watch and respect his game. And I just kind of chuckle at like all the outside noise around the kid. Like he's pretty darn good. And he was going through a tough situation as a rookie and was taking on top lines and top competition and actually performed pretty well. And as I'm learning with the Flyers in the player development process, like don't be too quick to make judgments on players. Like sometimes it takes these guys a little while to figure things out. And what I see from Bedard this year is a player that's very motivated, very fit, conditioned, hungry on pucks, and his skills taking over. So I think as the team gets better, all those individuals are going to, start having great seasons, and it's just nice to see some excitement there in Chicago.
I like that you bring that up. Like players are getting into the NHL way younger than they were on a more regular basis than they were even, 10, 15 years ago. And I think about a guy like Trevor Zegras, who, he's only 24 years old and he gets cast away by Anaheim. And you guys are obviously all over that deal, but it's like people kind of forget he's 24. I mean, we talked about Kiefer Sherwood before you came on. This is a guy who's finally finding his game in his late 20s. Like sometimes that age factor, I feel like people are forgetting how important that is in all this.
Yeah, the development process doesn't really stop. Each player is different, obviously, and each player reaches like the pinnacle of their career at different points. Personally speaking, mine was at age 32 with that Canadian Olympic team that we were just talking about. So I got better, I think, every year, more comfortable, more confident. Whatever needed to be done, just keep getting better. As far as Trevor Zegras, he's been fun to watch. I know I play with Kaner, who's got some great hands and definitely deserves that reputation. But to watch Zegras in practice and even the games, skate with his head up, control the puck, distribute to his teammates, his skills that he has, like the trick show stuff that he puts on is like Swaggy P level. It's next level stuff. Fun to watch. But what I've learned most about Trevor since he's joined the Flyers is how much he loves the game, how seriously he takes it. I think he takes some unfair criticism because he has a personality and he's willing to show that in media interviews. But when you put everything aside and watch the kid practice, prepare to be a player every night, it's remarkable. So we're happy to have him in Philadelphia. He's off to a great start. He's producing. The team's winning. Lots of light going on in Philly right now. And then Trevor's kind of doing an excellent job fitting in.
All right, Patrick, appreciate your time. Really thanks. Thanks for giving us some time, I should say, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, all right. Keep up the good work. Good to see you. Let's go Jays tonight, right?
You betcha, buddy. I can't wait.
All right. See you guys.
I guess he's a Thunder Bay boy. He's absolutely on the Jays bandwagon, Huts.
Of course he is. He's an athlete. He played ball too. He's a beauty. So what's funny is as we were talking about Bedard's shot, it made me think about when I first started skating with the pros here in Thunder Bay. I was coming out of the NCAA. I swear on my life, Sharp scored on me every single shot. So that was my first real taste of what the big leagues were like. He had a crazy shot. So it was great for him to come on and share all the behind the scenes with us.
I got a question for you. Jeff Merrick, our friend over at The Sheet, he's coming up live in half an hour. He's been tossing out the name Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen over the last little bit. What would you make of the idea of Buffalo potentially moving on from UPL?
I know it might be the piece, right now, Alex Lyon's been good. Like, it depends what they see in Devin Levi, right? As Levi can make that jump to get there. I guess it's just, if he moves, then what is the next piece that moves? It feels like they're waving the white flag a little bit to me if he gets moved out, but you never know what's going to happen in Buffalo, especially after another tough loss last night where they claw back against the Bruins and lose it in overtime.
Yeah, that was a tough one. David Pastrnak scored a beauty in that game as well. Let's get to our daily bets for Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet3. All right, we are struggling right now. First month of the season jitters is what we'll chalk it up. Last night was no bueno for the three of us. Pat, you didn't hit yours, did you?
Yeah, I did. This one's wrong on here. I had Pittsburgh over Minnesota because I panicked last minute. It ended up working out for me, so I got a plus 140 on that one.
Hutton and I both missed. Let's get to our picks for tonight. I got a little shot prop parlay, teasing down a couple of numbers. As I usually do, we're going to take the kid, Matthew Schaefer, 2+ shots on goal. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games. So Schaefer, 2+ shots on goal. Eichel, 3+ shots on goal. He's also been crushing this as of late. He's got 6, 4, 3 in his last 3 games. So Eichel's ripping it. Schaefer's ripping it. Plus 125 on the shot props.
I'm going to keep mine simple. Ride the hot hand. New contract. Necas anytime goal plus 140. Obviously playing with McKinnon, anything can happen. They're playing Vegas. Going to be, you need your big stars to come out on nights like that. And he's probably feeling super confident. So I think that's where I'm headed tonight, Carter.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Playing that angle. You know, I'm going to kind of play a similar angle, the revenge game here. We got John Gibson in Anaheim against Lucas Dostal. I'm taking the under. I just think the goalies are going to perform. There's value there. I know the Wings are on a back-to-back, but I like the under 6.5 here for the game tonight.
All right, wrapping up the show with a little bit of garbage time. Halloween weekend, Huts, which means around the NHL, we're getting to see some creativity from different players. You have Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar going as, oh God, they did the 6-7 thing. I'm not going to say it because it drives me fucking bananas. But some really good creativity here from around the NHL. Where does the Halloween party rank for you in terms of all the events that a team will do throughout the season?
Oh, it's the best. I one time, I reminds me of, we were in New York City and we did a Halloween party, and it was our rookie party plus Halloween party. So like, think about the whole group. We're out, everybody's in costumes. It was so funny. To this day, I always remember Jay Bowmeister. He would go as a banana every single year. That was his thing. He's a quieter guy. He's an absolute beauty. And all you see at night, we're in some club and you just see a banana running around everywhere. So that's a fond memory of a good Halloween party.
Pat, I don't know if you can go to that one of the Seattle Kraken. I thought that was unbelievable stuff. So the Kraken all dressed up as Adam Sandler characters, and then Adam Sandler was there. And if you see the picture when it pops up, that's Sandler in the middle. They gave him his own custom jersey. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was great too. There were so many unique characters in there from different movies that he was in. I was looking at that today. So that's a great one, a good experience. And for Sandler, it's got to be funny too, even seeing that. I'm sure he gets sick of seeing photos, but seeing a whole NHL team dress up as your characters got to bring a smile to you for sure.
All right. A big thanks to Patrick Sharp for giving us some time today. That was great. Everybody in the YouTube. Fantastic stuff this week. If you're still in there, hit the like button before you close the window. Help us out with that old algorithm on YouTube. Shout out to Pat Puff behind the scenes for a good week of producing. Huts, when we talk Monday, I'm either going to be wildly depressed or the Jays are going to be World Series champions. That is quite something.
Fingers crossed, buddy. It's going to be an exciting one tonight. They got to get through Yamamoto. Let's get it going, buddy. Win it now so I don't have to stress over Game 7.
I know. I don't think I can handle it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the hockey. Enjoy the baseball. We'll see you right back here Monday at noon Eastern. Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.